89, starting at chapter 27. Also I will make him my firstborn higher than the kings of the earth. My mercy will I keep for him forever. My covenant shall stand fast with him. His seed will I make to endure forever, and his throne as the days of heaven. If his children forsake my law and walk not in my judgments, if they break my statutes and keep not my commandments, then will I visit their transgression with a rod and their iniquity with stripes. Nevertheless, my loving kindness will I not utterly take from him, nor suffer my faithfulness to fail. My covenant will I not break, nor alter the thing that is gone out of my lips. Once I have sworn by my holiness, that will I not to lie unto David. His seed shall endure forever, and his throne as the sun before me. And it shall be established forever as the noon, as a faithful witness in heaven, Selah. But thou hast cast off and abhorred, thou hast been wroth with thine anointed. Thou hast been made void the covenant of thy servant. Thou hast profaned his crown by casting it to the ground. Thou hast broken down all his hedges. Thou hast brought his strongholds to ruin. All that passed by the way spoiled him, and he is a reproach to his neighbors. Thou hast set up the right hand of his adversities. Thou hast made all his enemies to rejoice. And thou hast also returned to the edge of the sword, and hast not made him to stand in battle. Thou hast made his glory to cease, and cast his throne down to the ground. The days of his youth hast thou shortened, and thou hast covered him with shame, Selah. How long, will thou hide thyself forever? Shall thy wrath burn like fire? Remember how short my time is, wherefore thou hast made all men in vain. What is man that he liveth and shall not see death, and he shall deliver his soul from the hand of the grave? I am, where are thy former loving kindnesses, which thou swearest unto David in thy truth? Remember, O I am that I am, the reproach of thy servants, and how I do bear in my bosom the reproach of all the mighty people, wherewith thy enemies have reproached, O Yahuwah, wherewith they have reproached the footsteps of thine anointed. Blessed be the I am forever. Amen and amen. Now, deliver me from the hands of evil spirits who have sway over the thoughts of men's hearts. And let them not lead me astray from thee, my God. Establish thou me and my seed, that we go not astray henceforth and forevermore. Jubilees chapter 12 and verse 20. Yes. All praise. Also, our God reigns. The I am that I am reigns, as he told Moses. Say to them, I am that I am. Yes, he reigns holy and supreme. Even in the psalm that we just read, God have warned David that if his seed should stray away, there was a warning. Now, this psalmist, he had some things to say, but this is where we also keep in mind what God had promised in the days, especially the 1st and 2nd Samuel. He had warned his seed will continue forever if they will continue in his commandments, statutes, and ordinances and laws. Now see, this is null and void. He is already, this psalmist here, he's talking out of his heart. It's not David who's talking. This psalmist here, he's talking, and he's not really recalling the scripture verbatim. But God has promised that if your seed continues, if you be willing and obedient, yes, God never turns back on his word, neither his commandments, statutes, and his promises. He promised David, if your seed do this, this will happen to them. Now, don't get it backwards. You all trying to, they talk about that Easter. No, it don't. Let's get it straight. Let's get it straight. Now, we're in the book of 2 Kings. Yes, 2 Kings, 2 Kings, 2 Kings. 2 Kings and chapter 12. Yes, we just finished with chapter 11. And yes, we find out Jehu reigned in Israel and Joash reigned in Judah. Yes, or Jerusalem. And now we begin to go into the 2 Kings. But first of all, we want to thank God for those of you that's been with us since the beginning. Those of you who have been with us here and there's about, and those of you that have just subscribed, and those of you who are about to subscribe. Yes, calling those things that are not as though they are. And we thank God either way, because the fact is his word will not return to him void. No, it will not. Yes. And the book of 2 Kings chapter 12 are we. We've just read from Psalms chapter 89, verse 27 through 52. And even the prayer of Abram after the book of Jubilees chapter 12 and verse 20. Yes, and it reads, in the 7th year of Jehu, Jehoash, king, began to reign, and 40 years reigned he in Jerusalem, or Yasharal. And his mother's name was Zibiah of Beersheba. And she was an Israelite. Yes, she was. Beersheba. And Jehoash did that which was right in the sight of the I Am all his days, wherein Jehoiada the priest instructed him. Now, it's one thing, the Levite, we need the Levites. The Levites' only thing is to study, just memorize and remind the children of the Most High of the law, statutes, commandments, and also judge among the people. That was their main function, and minister to the Most High. When they did this, they ministered to the Most High. Yes, they did. He shall cleanse the sons of Levi. They will know who they are in due season. Yes, they will. Even that of the seed. See, the seed of Aaron has not discontinued. Maybe the seed of some of his sons, like in the book of Samuel, but the seed of Aaron himself, which was high priest, the high priest's seed has not been discontinued. And Jesus was not a high priest. They fixed him staying up to make you think he was high priest, but he was not high priest. During the time of Melchizedek, there was no high priest. Regardless, there was no Levites at that time. They were all in the loins of Shem. And then it spread there and here's about. There was nothing. So you're talking about, you're trying to skip over a whole thing that God says and then go back to Melchizedek. Please give it a rest. God had already set it to purpose. He said that he didn't give the sons of Levi that same thing as he gave to the sons of Judah, even David. He didn't give him the same, if you do not. They were included within the whole of the children of Israel, the all 12 tribes of Israel. Yes, they were. And all the things that they suffered, not only Judah, but also Israel, was written in the book of Deuteronomy in chapter 28. Yes, it was. Deuteronomy in chapter 28. And he says, but the high place, in verse 3, were not taken away, and the people still sacrificed and burnt incense in the high places. To who? To the gods of Egypt and the gods of the children of Ham, even the Canaanitish people. And Joash said to the priests, all the money that of the dedicated things that is brought into the house of the I Am, even the money of everyone that passes the account, the money that every man is set at, all the money that cometh into any man's heart to bring into the house of the I Am. Yes, there are scattered children of Israel all over the world, even at this time. They've wandered, they've left the land, they've gone adventuring and everything else. But they still remembered Jerusalem. Even the prayer that, should I say, Saul or Solomon prayed, that in order to pray toward the temple, which is at Jerusalem, which is really Jebus. Yes, it is. It's Jebus. And let the priests, in verse 5, take it to them, every man of his acquaintance, and let them repair the breaches of the house, wheresoever any breach shall be found. Now, you have to realize that the house of the Most High has been going through many attacks. Many attacks. I mean, they've looted, they've ransacked it, they've done all kind of things to the house of the Most High, that he had, even this house where he hoped that Israel would even cause themselves to walk in his statutes, commandments, ordinances, and laws. And he would have preserved it just for their sake. But it didn't happen. They let those evil beings sway them. It's inherent in human beings to be that's walking by sight. We want something to worship, to walk by sight. We want something, an icon. We want symbols. We want, God warned against this. I don't want you to have this. No, please don't do this. You don't know the evil that's in symbols and all the things that come with them. And these icons and all these, it's not a logo. A logo is something different. That recognizes a business, or should I say, now if it turns to the point where you worship that logo or you worship that icon, then there is a problem. And that's where you take the risk of some people whose mind are easily swayed by evil beings. Idolatry. Idolatry. Let the priest take it to them, every man of his acquaintance, and let them repair the breaches of the house, wheresoever any breach shall be found. In other words, all those that's with the breach that he knows that can repair the breach. Give them the money so they can repair them. But it was so that in the 23rd year of the king Jehoash, that the priest had not repaired the breaches of the house. Then King Jehoash called for Jehoiada the priest and the other priest, and said unto them, why repair ye not the breaches? You know, just like your own house, you might have cracks in your cement, you might have the driveway is not acting right, and the windows outside of the windows have gotten rotten and everything else. I mean, things happen, and then you have infrastructure. The wood is so cheap that it just rots as soon as water hits it under your siding and everything else, and the siding gets waterlogged and all these things, and these are breaches, weathered breaches. And the same thing can happen with brick. The land can shift, and stone, and the mortar gets cracked, and you have to refill it and redo it before it gets too bad till everything falls apart. Yes, this thing, you have to repair these things. And then war for them. Some stones have been removed, the gold, the silver, the making of the benches of the shewbread, and all these other things have happened through wars and enemies. Repairing the breach. Now, therefore, receive no money for your acquaintance, your friends, but deliver it for the breaches of the house. And the priests consented to receive no more money of the people, neither to repair the breaches of the house. But Jehoiada the priest took a chest and bored a hole in the lid of it, and set it aside the altar on the right side, as one cometh into the house of the I Am. And the priest that kept the door put therein all the money that was brought into the house of the I Am. And it was so, when they saw that there was much money in the chest, the king's scribe and the high priest came up, and they put up in bags and told the money that was found in the house of the I Am. And they gave the money, being told, into the hands of them that did the work. And that the oversight of the house of the I Am, they laid it out to carpenters, builders that wrought upon the house of the I Am. In other words, if you own a camp, or if you have land that you're using for just for God's people, there's nothing you can do for God really, but live his commandments, statutes, and ordinances and laws. That's it. But for the people, the entertainment is for the people. The hearts of the people is what praises and worship God. You got to get this together. God is not here to entertain you, but you are to entertain God, as he's entertained in heaven. Not only he's entertained by your obedience and your zealousness of his law, statutes, commandments, and ordinances, he's also entertained by the praise and the adamant love that you have for him. Just as a woman that loves a man and she just can't keep him out of her mouth. To some, even the demons cannot stand. This is the kind of God, this is the kind of love. He wants a real love from you. But this real love only comes by confidence in him. Just as a woman has confidence in this man she's met, and she knows him top to bottom, and she knows he's going to do what's right, and she just knows it. This is where the idealism of a woman comes from. God knows what he put in a woman, and he knows what he put in a man. There is no feminine and masculine and please, that's of devils. Feminine energy. The devil is a liar. Masculine energy. What he gives a man, he gives a man. The man he gives of his own self. And the woman from the man. That she nurtures the man. I mean, to explain it, you have to write a lot. But either way, he puts in what he wants to put in each gender. Not only of men and women, but also animals of the male and female. Yes, they know what to do. From the lion to the lioness, the monkey to the female, to the monkey. Yes, he does these things. He says the masons and the hewers of stone to buy timber, and hewn stone to repair the breaches of the house of the I Am, for all that was laid out for the house to repair it. Howbeit there were not made for the house of the I Am bowls of silver, snuffers, basins, trumpets, and any vessels of gold or vessels of silver of the money that was brought into the house of the I Am. In other words, this was gold and silver. They didn't use this money that we know of today. They didn't use no dead dollar or no half-witted coins that really measured up to very little to nothing. He says now, bowls of silver, snuffers, basins. In other words, you had to repair everything. All that stuff came out of the portable temple. The temple that was built in the wilderness. But now you have a place right here. Here Israel has a place where they can put these things. And these things were taken by other people. Trumpets and vessels of gold or vessels of silver. Verse 13, I am in of the money that was brought into the house. But they gave that to the workmen and repaired therewith the house of the I Am. Moreover, they reckoned not with the men in whose hand they delivered the money to be bestowed on the workmen, for they dealt faithfully. The trespass money and sin money was not brought into the house of the I Am, it was the priest. God gives the priest a certain thing so they might buy things. This doesn't mean that you, in your churches, you give your teach to be millionaires. This was distributed all over the Levitical priesthood. Not just one preacher with airplanes and all this stuff and then give you a fake healing person. You give him a few $1,000s to fake he's healed or she's healed. In the midst of a people, you got 1,000 people giving $10, you got some money. And then a lot of them are going to give even more than that. The trespass money, sin money, was not brought into the house of the I am, it was the priest. For this reason, these preachers love the big cities. Many of them would not go to a small urban area, nor they would go to Africa too, in Nigeria with many people. You notice that all these major preachers and those who put up their little show, but yet they will not go to the outskirts of town. They will not go and travel to bring the things of the Most High to them. But most of them, they would go into the cities where people are congregated and put on a very good show. And the people are swayed by this evil spirit that calls itself Christianity. And then began to fall into the, should I say, the vagueness of the New Testament and its ways. Some truth with a lot of lies. Yes. Now there's some chapters here in the Old Testament that are inserted. Things are inserted and it's manipulated. Those you will see for yourself. And trespass money, sin money, was not brought into the house, but it was the priest. God gave it to the priest. Now, there was a reason we see that, because they had no inheritance. They had to get the things that they get. They had to get cloth. They had to get to make clothes for the children and all these other things. They needed it. They had to buy lambs for to eat. They were really poor. And Hazael, king of Syria, went up and fought against Gath and took it. And Hazael set his face up to Jerusalem. And Jehoash, the king of Judah, took all the hallowed things that Jehoshaphat and Joram and Ahaziah, his father, kings of Judah, had dedicated. And his own hallowed things and all the gold and that was found in the treasures of the house of the I am and in the king's house, and sent it to Hazael, the king of Syria, and he went away from Jerusalem. He was a coward. And the rest of the act of Joash and all that he did are not they. Now they shorten his name here. They took the E, it should be Yehoash, but now they say Yosh, and then they went to Yoash in this translation. Now the rest of the acts of Joash, they left out the E and H now. That would be Yehoash, or Yaoash, or Yosh. And all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the king of Judah or Judah? And his servants arose and made a conspiracy and slew Joash. And in the house of Milo, which goeth down to Silla, they slew him, this crooked, coward king of Judah, a seed of David, because he was afraid. And Yosakar would be his name. Yosakar, son of Shemith, and Yehoshazabad, son of Shomer, his servant, smote him, and he died. So these three men got him. Oh, coward king. Sound like some of them leaders you have in certain eastern parts and southern parts of Africa. Africa with very courageous people. But nevertheless, your cowardice, kings and leaders that would sacrifice their people for the greed of the West. We suffer here just as much, if not more. And for his servants arose and made a conspiracy and slew Joash in the house of Mahlon. And they buried him in verse 21, reading the second half of it. And they buried him with his fathers in the city of David, seed of David. And Amaziah, his son, reigned in his stead. Now, he's giving you through the line of kings in 2 Chronicles, and he's giving you where he gave the kings of Judah. See, this is what Israel chose. They wanted these men. They wanted men to rule them. And these men ruled him so that they followed the king, whether he was crooked or whether he was straight. They followed him, and his armies and his guards had to follow him too. They remained faithful to the throne, whether in Israel or whether in Judah. And so what had happened was they began to, when the king sinned, the people sinned. And so on and so forth. He did righteous, the people did righteous. And thus you have this thing going on. But God has showed you chose a man, but I told you what would happen if you choose a man. And these things have happened because you have to realize that kingdoms and governments are ruled and they are influenced by demons who hate you, especially the children of Jacob. And they will not stop at anything that they will do. That doesn't excuse the flesh, those they are using. Doesn't excuse them at all, but makes them even more not to trust. Because you have to realize all the governments that you are under, whether they be Western or Eastern or even right there on the continent, they're ruled by devils, cunning devils, falling angels, fallen messengers, who to deal with their minds and their hearts, and their minds and hearts is not toward the people, then you're going to have a problem. And the people will howl, and he will, and his military will stay, his military is right along with him. So because a lot of these evil people, they will have gone and they would, even if they demise a majority of their own people to keep their authority, they will do so. Look what's happening in the West. Look what's happening on the continent of Africa, and even other countries that you see that when a person loses, they have a problem. Power is not easily given up. And only power a man can have is over people, and that's what he wants. Regardless, what can he do with all that money? Nothing. What can he do with all the armament? But he wants to be able, it's just a rush to want to tell this, I can do this and I can do that, and be boastful about it. But is not this the same thing as you ruling over other spirits that God have created? A spirit is ruling over that leader which rules over you, and he's getting you to do things that you know is not right before the Most High to do. Now, a lot of folks shun that thing. You feel that in you now, that sort of cringing when I say spirits. You do. But spirits are they who have sway over the thoughts of men's hearts. Most powerful prayer of our father Abram. Most powerful. And you have to get that. And once we understand that, and the only way to defeat him is being obedient to the agreement with God of the children of Israel. Even if you are a child of Israel, your father. And if you're not a child of Israel, and you be to the covenant that he had with Israel, you're a proselyte or a convert to do those things that are right before the creator of all mankind. And this is what is meant by one law for the stranger and one law for the natural born. Yes, one law. Jacob does not discriminate. Jacob is not a supremacist in no kind of way. But Jacob obeys that which is God and his master even the creator of all things, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, have commanded him. And those that would fall under the creator would have to abide by the same rule and be judged by the same rule. And with that, you will have peace.
Walk with me.